I'm Britt Herring, and welcome to the Bitcoin Awakening event. Over the last 18 months, we've seen Bitcoin go from a little over $7,000 to a high of just over $60,000. And just when people thought Bitcoin would keep soaring to new highs, it got cut nearly in half. Today, there are so many questions likely on people's minds. What's next for Bitcoin? Will it go to zero? Or could it soon climb past $100,000, $250,000, or even $1 million? Have the biggest gains already been made, or are the biggest gains still ahead of us? To help you understand where Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are heading next, I'm joined today by Charlie Shrem, arguably the most influential person in cryptocurrencies. When Charlie speaks, the crypto world listens. And he's about to deliver what he says is one of his biggest crypto calls in just a minute. He'll also reveal one of the #1 cryptocurrencies you should own right now for free during this event. Surprisingly, it's not Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other cryptocurrency you've heard about before. Also joining us is someone ranked a #1 stock picker in 2020 according to TipRanks, Luke Lango. Over the last 18 months, some of Luke's crypto recommendations have gone up as much as 2,865%, which is about 119 times better than Bitcoin's highest gain over the last 18 months. And over the last few years, Luke has recommended dozens of stocks that have gone up as high as between 100% to 900%, and 16 recommendations that have soared as high as 1,000% or more. In fact, one of Luke's recent gains is an EV charging company, which has climbed as high as 3,628% in about 19 months. Today, Luke and Charlie are sharing the stage for the first time. They both agree an enormous event is about to catch everyone by surprise. The information they're about to unveil here could mint a new class of crypto millionaires, beginning with the recommendation they're about to unveil in this broadcast. Charlie, you're obviously a legend in the Bitcoin community, and you've made some controversial Bitcoin predictions over the years. But your latest prediction might be your most audacious one yet.
That's right, Britt. It's without a doubt my most important call to date. It doesn't matter if you're a casual Bitcoin observer, one of the die-hard faithful, or if you just think Bitcoin is some fad or even a scam. You need to know what's happening because it's gonna affect everyone in America. You at home watching, your next door neighbor, even you, Britt. It doesn't matter who you are or where you live. This will drastically change every single aspect of modern society. I'm talking about the way you buy everyday goods and services, how you pay your taxes, how you pay for internet, buy a home, even the way you vote. The awakening won't just be the biggest thing to happen in cryptocurrencies since the creation of Bitcoin itself. It will be the biggest thing since the mass adoption of the internet. TechCrunch proclaims it is a tsunami-like phenomenon enveloping everything along its way by the force of its progression. The New York Observer said, "Remember the dawn of the internet and imagine the launch of the first printing press? Get ready for something similar. Right now, it's impossible to imagine how far it will go." And the Huffington Post said it could usher in an age of prosperity for all. If you are paying attention to it, if you know what's coming, it will absolutely transform your life. And it could show you substantial gains in the coming years. That's why I've chosen this special venue to get the message out.
We're certainly grateful you've chosen us to help you make this huge announcement, because if anyone knows where Bitcoin is headed, it's you, Charlie. I mean, after all, you were there from the very beginning.
I was. Back in 2011, the concept of digital money was alien to most people. If you asked anyone on the street what Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency was, you just get a blank look. We're talking early days. I was a computer programmer in a business. I had just started out of college, so I was very fortunate to be dialed into that world. I was likely among the first few people to receive the white paper that started it all, outlining a new way to store and transfer value digitally and safely.
Now, you're referring to Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper that ushered in the era of Bitcoin.
Yeah, this is what started it all. I was one of the first to see it. Keep in mind, This was shortly after the financial crisis that occurred in 2008. I knew after reading about Bitcoin and the blockchain that this was going to change America, heck, the world, in big ways. I decided right there and then to dedicate my life to this Bitcoin movement.
You know, Britt, most people aren't familiar with Charlie's role in the advancement of Bitcoin. He was truly one of its pioneering advocates. He started one of the first exchanges, making it easy for the masses to buy and trade Bitcoin. That alone is revolutionary. You know, I even found this video on Twitter of Charlie and fellow crypto pioneer Eric Voorhees mining Bitcoin when it was at $21 back in 2012. You know, since then, Bitcoin has climbed as high as 187,000%. Charlie was also one of the founding members of the Bitcoin Foundation, which is aimed at bringing mainstream awareness to digital currencies, as well as several key businesses that promoted the use of digital currencies. Now, keep in mind, during all of this, the mainstream establishment, they were basically laughing in his face. The government, the media, Wall Street, they all hated Bitcoin. No one believed it would amount to anything, but not Charlie. You know, Charlie was always a believer. He persevered and never, not once, wavering in his belief. And look where we are today. Everybody wants a piece of the action. Trillion-dollar companies have turned their attention and deep pockets towards Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. For example, the world's biggest companies, who have long track records of backing the biggest and most important trends, have just kicked off a new battle for crypto supremacy. Companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and even Facebook are all investing billions of dollars to emerge as the leader. PayPal, sure you heard of them. They recently allowed its 305 million users worldwide to buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrencies in their account. Now, you can use Bitcoin to purchase goods and services from the 26 million businesses that use PayPal. You know, this was impossible a couple years ago. But it's not just tech companies that are going all in on this Bitcoin revolution. Wall Street, they want in on this trend too. Paul Tudor Jones, who's easily one of the most successful and influential investors in history, said every passing day that Bitcoin survives, the trust increases. He also said we could be witnessing an historic moment for Bitcoin, and he admitted he's a big buyer of Bitcoin, and that it could outperform all other assets that his legendary fund holds. Now, back in 2017, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, the most famous big bank Wall Street CEO, went as far as calling anyone who owned Bitcoin stupid. And now, under his very leadership, JP Morgan have their own cryptocurrency. Can you believe that? A few years ago, most of these guys wouldn't be caught dead holding Bitcoin. Now, they can't buy it fast enough.
Guess who else is on board, Britt? Today, the most powerful governments in the world are embracing cryptos and the huge potential of blockchain technology. There are at least 40 countries that have blockchain or crypto projects in the works. Countries like Germany, Canada, China, even the US, and El Salvador recently became the first country in the world to make Bitcoin legal tender and part of their national currency. I never thought I'd be saying that. Last March, a bill was introduced to the US Congress called the Cryptocurrency Act of 2020. The purpose of this bill is to further adopt and legitimize the use of cryptocurrencies in the US economy, which might help explain why a few months ago, the mayor of Miami said he wants to pay government workers in Bitcoin. This level of interest and involvement didn't exist a couple of years ago. Even the media has done a complete 180. Keep in mind, just a few years ago, some media outlets were using the words like scam to describe cryptocurrencies. Today, they are singing a much different tune.
And it's thanks largely to the work Charlie's been doing over the last 11 years. But as much as Bitcoin has grown, from a white paper concept to a worldwide phenomenon, It's the next chapter of the cryptocurrency story that everyone needs to know about. You know, if you were sitting on the sidelines during the massive Bitcoin surge in 2017, you haven't missed out on the biggest gains. Because this next wave is where the biggest riches will be made. Yet few people are even paying attention to it. But mark my words, what's coming will be bigger than anything that's happened with Bitcoin yet. Specifically, I'm talking about the rise of a new breed of cryptocurrencies, known, Britt, as altcoins.
Altcoins? You mean the lesser-known mini versions of Bitcoin?
Well, Britt, that's almost correct. And let me explain. You see, right now, there is a fuse being lit under the altcoin market. This fuse will set off one of the largest explosions of wealth in modern history. People who invest modest stakes in altcoins could make millions of dollars. But to truly understand the magnitude of this opportunity, you must understand that altcoins aren't really cryptocurrencies in the way that most people think about them.
Well, wait, they're not. I mean, I thought these altcoins were all battling to be the next Bitcoin. I mean, just look at the extraordinary Bitcoin-like gains altcoins have posted over the last few years. 15,455% from Egretia, 262,195% from Einsteinium, and an incredible 1,581,492% from Verge. Now, of course, nothing in the market is guaranteed, and we can't promise gains like these incredible past historical examples. Now, of course, there will be losers. Look, the point is that altcoins have incredible potential. I know I'm kicking myself for not jumping in, but Charlie, with so many altcoins out there, it seems impossible to know which ones are legit.
It's true. It's true that these altcoins are going up by amazing multiples. In some cases, even outperforming Bitcoin. But to know why many altcoins are about to skyrocket thousands of percent in value, you need to know these assets aren't like fantasy internet money. You need to understand what's really driving these things skyward.
All right, so Charlie, a lot of people say that buying Bitcoin is the best way to make money in crypto. But you're telling me altcoins are a better way to make money.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. And what I've learned over the past 10 years is the best way to make a lot of money is to invest in altcoins, then roll the profits into Bitcoin or other major cryptos. I'm ideologically in love with Bitcoin, but I also like earning money for my family. You see, skeptics like to point out that if we have Bitcoin, why do we need the hundreds of other altcoins on the market? I'm here to let you know that this might be the single most expensive belief on the planet right now. It could easily cost you $1 million in lost profits over the next 12 months. Altcoins are investments in one of the most valuable, most revolutionary technologies ever created. When people wake up to the fact that altcoins aren't fantasy internet money or a wannabe version of Bitcoin, there will be an enormous rush into this asset class. It will be like a mass awakening.
Now, this is, of course, the awakening you've been referring to.
Yes. This will lead to mainstream acceptance of altcoins as a serious investment vehicle, and they will create a multi-trillion-dollar tsunami of wealth for their owners. Here's how. Remember, the underlying technology behind Bitcoin and altcoins is blockchain. We've heard this before. You've probably heard all the buzzwords surrounding blockchain. Experts are calling it more revolutionary than the cotton gin, the steam engine, the personal computer, and the smartphone combined. The Financial Post said blockchain is a bigger revolution than the internet itself. And according to Forbes, it will usher in the fourth industrial revolution.
That's right. I've heard about the blockchain before. I've heard that it's going to be revolutionary, but I've got to admit, Charlie, I don't really understand it at all.
And that's okay. That's okay. I'm sure a lot of folks watching right now are in the same boat. For all the hype surrounding the blockchain, few people understand why it's so revolutionary. It all comes down to 3 words: transformational technology platform. Blockchain is the next great transformational tech platform. Now I'll elaborate on what that means. We all know what transformation is. It's wholesale change, like when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly or when a toddler becomes a teenager. But most folks aren't familiar with the platform side of things. Knowing how transformational technology platforms create vast change in wealth could give you a huge edge in the rest of the world over the coming decade. Electricity is one of the great examples of this. The harnessing of electric power in the early 1900s, it transformed the world. It led to the use of the light bulb, refrigerators, radio, televisions, telephones, air conditioners, the list goes on and on. Electric power was the platform from which all of those incredible innovations sprang to life. You don't have any of those things without electric power. The world, after we harnessed electricity, looked completely and totally different than the one before it, because electric power is a transformational technology platform.
You know, one of the key features of a tech platform, the one that Charlie's talking about, is that it doesn't touch just one or two major industries. You know, it touches all industries. Doesn't matter the shape or size, it touches them all. Its transformational effects make their way into all areas of our lives, Britt.
The computer was another tech platform. It powers our digital world today. It has made us vastly more productive and lowered the price of just about everything. Computers allow us to store huge amounts of information in a small space, make complex calculations with ease, process vital statistics, organize files, keep inventory, and other countless tasks. There isn't an industry or business in the world today that the computer hasn't immensely helped. It's foundational. The internet is another one. The platform technology of the internet gave life to social networking, e-commerce, video streaming, and innovative companies like Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, eBay, Google, and Yahoo.
So there's the internet. You also mentioned computers and electricity. Now, that's not a whole lot of transformational platforms. Now, I'm getting the feeling that you don't see many of these revolutionary new platforms come around in a lifetime, right?
It's absolutely correct, Britt. You know, these revolutions are very, very rare. We saw the emergence of just a handful in the 20th century. The electric power grid, computers, even the internet, as you mentioned. Each one presented colossal wealth-building opportunities. And a modest investment into any one of them could have set someone up for life. Now, if you look at the folks who invested in or build businesses on these platforms, incredible fortunes were made. Early shares in Microsoft, for example, turned every $1,000 into over $2.5 million. And early Amazon investors made over 224,000%. Again, no one can promise gains like these extraordinary historical examples, but I do believe this is the kind of potential we're talking about here today. You know, that's why it's so important to know what transformational technology platforms are. The big takeaway here is this. The more a technology changes the world for the better, the more revenue it will generate, and the bigger the gains will be for investors. And that's why, in a nutshell, blockchain is going to be huge. That's why some high-profile insiders are saying it will be bigger than the internet. It's going to touch virtually every industry on planet Earth. Put simply, Britt, blockchain is an ultra-safe and secure way to store information. You know, it's the safest way to store and transfer information that has actually ever been created. I'm talking about your financial and banking information, your personal healthcare information, proprietary business information, tax information, credit card payments. I could keep going on.
The blockchain is a totally new, totally secure way of storing and transferring information. So much of our modern economy rests on the flow of safe, secure, accurate information. This means blockchain's potential uses are as wide and varied as any technology on the planet. Since the emergence of tech platforms are so rare, and since our wealth creation effects are so large, you must act when you see one taking shape, which is why this message is so critical. It's all about timing. Here's what your typical technology adoption curve looks like. Every major platform technology or innovation has followed this exact same path. Remember, the internet had been around since the 70s. It was used by a few government agencies and maybe one or two big universities. But it wasn't until the 90s that people finally woke up to its true potential, that everybody could use it, that it can improve all of our lives. And that's when the technology exploded into the mainstream, and people who got in early made fortunes. You'll notice it wasn't until around the year 2000 that we entered the mass adoption phase and things began to really take off.
So, the internet had its own awakening.
Exactly. So did computers. They existed for years in the background before they began appearing in businesses and homes across the world. And just like the internet, the innovators and early movers got insanely rich. Electricity, same story.
I mean, the beautiful part about all of this is that the next big tech awakening is still in front of us. You know, the Wall Street Journal calls blockchain a foundational technology, like the internet and electricity. And that's why our message today is so important. The blockchain platform will surge through the economy and our lives like a multi-trillion-dollar wealth-creating tsunami. It will make us vastly more proficient and more productive. It will lower the price of just about everything. We are entering an incredible, an unprecedented new era. The World Economic Forum predicts 10% of the global GDP will be stored on the blockchain in roughly 4 years, which, for what it's worth, will equal about $14.2 trillion with a T. You know, and that's just the start, to be honest, because in a few decades, over $70 trillion could be stored on the blockchain. That's a conservative estimate. But here's the thing. The impact and benefit of blockchain technology to society actually far exceeds the storage of wealth. It really is so much bigger than that. Because this revolution is going to change everything. Literally everything. Real estate, energy, healthcare, even voting. It's all about the change because of the blockchain. Bitcoin was the proof case. It proved that the blockchain worked and could live up to the hype. And for the most part, over the last 10 years, the success of blockchain technology has been tied to the success of Bitcoin. But thankfully, people are starting to wake up, the awakening. They're starting to wake up to its true potential, which is why Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook, the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, and virtually every major corporation and government agency are all investing billions in blockchain technology. You know, Britt, billionaires are going all in on the blockchain too. Take, for example, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, Shark Tank star and Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, a personal favorite of mine, PayPal co-founder Max Levchin, Virgin founder and billionaire Sir Richard Branson. Remember, Bitcoin is an asset. It goes up and down in price like any other financial asset, but the blockchain is revolutionary. As Charlie said earlier, it's not fantasy internet money or a currency. If you're going to take full advantage of the awakening, you need to understand this important difference. Because of the awakening, it will lay the foundation of an entirely new world. The way you work, how you buy your clothes, your groceries, your home, how you save for your retirement, you name it, the blockchain is going to make it better and more transparent. It's a complete paradigm shift.
Now, Charlie, you once gave a TED Talk and said the blockchain will have the biggest impact on humanity since the invention of the printing press. Now, could you elaborate what you mean by that?
Of course. What few people don't understand is that the printing press, what I consider the original platform technology, is probably the most revolutionary invention in the history of mankind. Bigger than cars, bigger than the computer, bigger than the internet, even fire. Before the printing press, all knowledge was controlled by the elite and ruling class, people like kings, queens, and the church. In other words, information was centralized. People didn't need to learn how to read or write because kings, queens, and other members of the ruling class would tell you what to think. But once the printing press was invented, everything changed. It single-handedly pulled Europe out of the Dark Ages. The literacy rate began to drastically climb, and it accelerated human progress at a rate not previously seen until the advent of the internet. New revolutionary ideas could be quickly produced and shared with the masses. Ancient wisdom from philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, could be placed in every person's hand. It laid the foundation for the scientific revolution and allowed for ideas to be shared and challenged. the ability to spread ideas and form a new public opinion, it gave birth to the French and American revolutions. We wouldn't have a modern democracy, maybe even America, without the printing press. The printing press was the first real shock to the system, allowing people to freely share ideas. The open exchange of ideas and value is the bedrock of a free society and free market.
All right, so the blockchain is going to do the same thing for our modern world, except on a much grander scale, a much more profound scale.
Exactly. All the institutions and industries sitting at the top are about to get radically upended. How you search for things online, buy goods and services, borrow money, heat your home, interact with people online. It's all basically controlled by like a handful of institutions, and you know who they are. When you watch the nightly news on TV, that information is coming from just a handful of sources. Same thing with banking, credit cards, energy, and again, you know who they are. Knowledge is power, and when you control the information, you control the people. When the few rule, the many suffer. If a dictator or regime wants to gain control of a country or territory, the first thing they do is control the flow of information and change the narrative. It's what Nazi Germany did. It's what North Korea is currently doing. The blockchain, unlike the printing press and the internet, it can't be controlled by essential power or ever be manipulated. Which is why this is already being called the new internet or the internet 2.0. It's taking the power back from the few and giving it to the masses. Rigged elections and the perpetual corruption in DC could soon be a thing of the past. Listen, to be clear, I'm not an anarchist or a socialist. I'm not trying to overthrow anything or redistribute. I'm a capitalist, born and bred. And the blockchain is the most revolutionary capitalistic technology I've ever seen. It's why I've been involved with Bitcoin and other blockchain projects since day one. And it's why I'm still here today.
You know, Charlie brings up a very important point. This blockchain awakening is so much more than just an incredible opportunity to make money. It's about giving the power back to the citizen, to the consumer, to the patient, and to the individual. And just like the impact of the printing press or the internet, what happens next will fundamentally change every aspect of our lives, and for the better. You know, we're about to witness a renaissance not seen for hundreds of years. The blockchain is going to rewrite the rules of everything. It will allow free markets, free trade, and small businesses to flourish in ways we once could only dream of. All the social and political unrest taking place all around the world is rooted in a lack of trust and accountability. Now, the blockchain is building a new future, society and economy based on trust and accountability. The gatekeepers, the bureaucrats, the middlemen of the world, the ones Charlie's talking about, are about to get utterly destroyed. And good riddance. I mean, come on, who likes those guys? Blockchain is gonna make everything more transparent, efficient, and honest. Now, I know this all sounds too good to be true, a utopian future, but guess what? It's already here. It's happening right now, and I'm sure only about 1 in 1,000 people know about it today. But this idea, it's quickly changing. Governments, businesses, and individuals are beginning to wake up to the possibilities. And just like creation and adaptation of the internet, this awakening is about to unleash a multi-trillion-dollar tsunami of new wealth. It's going to mint an unimaginable number of new millionaires and even billionaires. The next Bill Gates, the next Jeff Bezos, will likely be a blockchain investor or entrepreneur. And anyone who acts now could turn a small investment into substantial gains. Because blockchain, you know, it's already making a huge impact on banking, finance, law enforcement, energy, insurance, real estate, and supply chain management, just to name a few. And that is barely scratching the surface.
Wow, guys, I mean, this all sounds great, and it sounds like the world desperately needs blockchain. But what will this change look like to everyday people like you and me? Can you give us some examples of how these different industries are waking up to the potential of the blockchain?
Yeah, of course. There are so many examples and projects already in the works. I could go on for days. One huge part of the global economy already being disrupted by the blockchain is the $22 trillion financial services industry. There's probably no other industry on the planet more associated with fraud, corruption, and lack of transparency, come on, than the financial industry. In total, over $16 billion is lost in fraud and scams each year. And most of it happens to the folks who are the most vulnerable, like the elderly. All this is about to be a thing of the past. To combat this growing threat, companies like Visa, MasterCard, and virtually every major bank is investing billions to squash the financial fraud and scams. The blockchain is also about to disrupt the $90 trillion global stock market, revolutionizing the way we invest and grow our retirement through the stock market. Soon, you'll be able to trade stocks and exchange money across country borders in seconds with 100% confidence. The world's biggest stock exchanges like the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, and the Tokyo Exchange have already begun using blockchain for a growing number of their transactions. In fact, an executive of the NASDAQ exchange has admitted they're going all in on using the blockchain because it's so secure and reliable.
So, Luke, you said the blockchain was going to make government more transparent and accountable. The lack of trust for the government is everywhere in American society today. But what are some of the examples of blockchain improving this?
You know, Britt, you're absolutely right. Now, Americans' trust in the government and their elected representatives is it's at all-time lows. And many believe blockchain is actually the answer to rebuilding trust with citizens, because the blockchain will serve the voters and help eliminate voter fraud by verifying and recording all votes in an encrypted, decentralized manner. Americans will finally be able to vote from home in a legitimate and secure fashion. But that's not all, because it will also be a champion for the taxpayer. You know, every form of government spending will be recorded on the blockchain ledger and made public for all to see. Americans will finally get the best services at the best price. No more hidden budgets, agendas, or backroom deals. Blockchain is already being used in places like Brazil to monitor government contract bids, helping squash corruption and crony capitalism. Because when governments reduce costs and become more efficient and transparent, everyone wins. So there are at least 9 U.S. government agencies experimenting with the blockchain today. The Department of Defense is going all in on blockchain too. They're using it to create a more efficient, robust, and secure platform for communication on and off the battlefield. Now, this could drastically reduce the casualty rate of soldiers and civilians around the world, so we're literally saving lives here. And then you have infrastructure. Right? I mean, America's infrastructure is a national disgrace. We can all agree on that. It's not in good shape. And to make matters worse, America's infrastructure costs are actually significantly higher than other countries. So where's the money going? You know, a lot of this higher cost really comes from outdated regulations, our bidding process for contracts, and oversight. Much like other parts of the government, though, the blockchain will make the bidding process transparent, so taxpayers will always get the best deal. And it will help municipalities and companies keep track of materials, permits, and contracts. But the biggest contribution the blockchain will have on infrastructure is funding. Because remember, the blockchain can digitize and record the ownership of any physical asset. This allows anything from a football stadium to a piece of fine art to be broken into smaller parts and easily keep track of many owners. Toll bridges, highways, stadiums, convention centers, parking garages, and rail projects could soon be funded by many individuals like yourself. You'll be able to collect income from your investment in the project. Now, these types of public and private partnerships, or PPPs, are typically off limits to the average person. But because of the blockchain, ordinary citizens will not only be able to take part in rebuilding America, but also collect a nice stream of income too. So in a way, this is already playing out in our energy grid. Residents of the Park Slope area of Brooklyn are benefiting from a blockchain project called the Transactive Grid. There, residents with solar panels are able to sell power to the energy companies and keep track of every transaction on the blockchain. In a typical blockchain fashion, the energy grid is moving from a centralized grid run by a handful of utility companies that nobody likes to a decentralized grid owned by individuals. The ability for businesses and homeowners to buy and sell energy will soon be the new normal. It's already in place across numerous cities in California and spreading across the country at a rapid pace. Again, though, all of this, and that was a lot, but it's still just barely scratching the surface when talking about the potential of the blockchain. You know, one area I'm very bullish on is the impact of blockchain technology on the $8.5 trillion healthcare industry. So let's talk about the healthcare industry. You know, in many ways, it's still stuck in the dark ages, which means there's a lot of room for improvement. And ever since COVID-19 rocked the world, it's only accelerated the use and demand for blockchain. For example, in some cases, blockchain was actually used to aid in the rollout of vaccines. You know, the blockchain is helping to verify the distribution of counterfeit drugs, where in some places, up to 30% of the medicines being prescribed are fake. Biotech and pharmaceutical giants are using blockchain technology to track and trace their drugs from the time they are manufactured all the way to the patient, which is why Pfizer, Biogen, and Merck all have major blockchain projects in the works. Again, in a post-COVID world, the need for mass adoption of blockchain technology has never been more urgent. And just like the financial sector, blockchain is curbing scams and bringing a level of transparency not seen before. Now, Charlie and I could go on and on about all the exciting new projects taking place across the world, but I think you get the point. And understand why many of the world's smartest people think blockchain technology is on par with technology like personal computers and the internet. Early internet pioneer and famous tech investor Mark Andreessen agrees with our outlook. He said, point blank, the blockchain is the most important invention since the internet. And his firm is betting over $1.5 billion on the success of blockchain technology. Now, for most people, the internet is an integral part of how we do our jobs at work and how we spend our free time, but blockchain technology will have a greater influence on our daily lives and in ways you never would have guessed. This technology will disrupt every single industry, leaving no stone unturned. And as all this disruption and change is creating a once-in-a-lifetime financial opportunity for you and anyone else who acts today.
So, all right, you two have sold me on the blockchain and how it's going to change everything. But where do the altcoins fit in all of this? Why invest in altcoins if there's already Bitcoin?
Great questions, Brett. This is what the awakening is all about. All this disruption and change is creating a once-in-a-lifetime financial opportunity for you and anyone else who acts today. But like any new technological revolution, there are going to be many winners and losers. You can't have this amount of innovation and change without shaking things up. Now, most people think they can get exposure to blockchain's enormous growth potential by buying a stock like Visa, Amazon, or Facebook. No. Even though these companies are investing heavily in the blockchain, they're not direct blockchain plays. At the end of the day, if you buy Facebook, you're still buying a social media company. If you're buying Amazon, you're still buying an e-commerce company. But if you want the absolute best exposure to the full upside of the awakening, you need to back altcoins and not stocks. Remember, altcoins are lesser known cryptocurrencies, or basically any cryptocurrency that is in Bitcoin. But to truly understand the magnitude of this opportunity, you must understand that altcoins aren't really cryptocurrencies in the traditional sense. They're not currencies at all, really. And this is a critical distinction. And when most people get hung up, they think buying an altcoin is buying some sort of speculative fantasy internet money. But what you're really buying is an ownership of a blockchain program. So when you change your perspective on altcoins, you realize they're not fantasy internet money. Rather, they're investments in blockchain projects that make our lives easier, more productive, and more efficient. So when you buy an altcoin, you're essentially acting as a venture capitalist. You're funding small startup blockchain companies that are trying to unseat those entrenched, inefficient models and those companies that gouge customers. These companies are laying the groundwork for an entirely new world. Buying an altcoin is like buying an early stake in the software programs that made the internet so revolutionary. For many of you watching, this might be the most valuable information you'll ever hear, because altcoins are the only place you'll be able to capture those extraordinary gains like 15,455%, 132,712% from Redcoin, or even 262,195%, which is why Luke and I want to get this information out to as many people as possible.
Right, so you guys are saying that owning altcoins is like owning the software programs that basically established the internet in the 1990s.
And that's exactly what we're saying, Britt. If you know anything about software, you know it's one of the greatest wealth generators of the past 50 years. Investing in the best altcoins right now is like investing with Bill Gates' Microsoft in 1986, just before the world went wild for its productivity-enhancing software, and shares skyrocketed 210,900%, which is enough to turn every $10,000 invested into over $21 million. Or, like taking an early stake in software innovator Larry Ellison's Oracle in 1990, just before his business software was adopted by thousands of companies, and shares of Oracle skyrocketed 93,533%. Or taking an early stake in Salesforce, which has become one of the world's leading business software companies. Shares are up 4,685% since the company's IPO in 2004. Or even Adobe Systems, the hugely popular software company, which went up an extraordinary 197,000%. Now, again, no one can promise gains like these extraordinary historical examples, and there will be losers in the space as well. But the point here is to highlight the potential. In fact, John Bates, Director of Product Management for Adobe, says blockchain is, quote, on par with technology like personal computers and the internet. Forget all the words you hear when people talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain, because they don't matter much when compared to these two key facts. Fact number one, the blockchain is the next transformational tech platform, as Charlie said. Everything will soon use blockchain technology as it becomes the new internet. It will completely rewrite how business is done and money is made in the modern age. If you fail to act now, you're actively passing up one of the greatest wealth-creating events in human history. Now, fact number two, the only way you can have direct ownership in this groundbreaking technology is through altcoins. Because remember, blockchain technology is going to destroy the middleman and revolutionize the way you bank, shop, travel, heat your home, and so much more. These altcoins are not a currency in the traditional sense, and this story is so much bigger than Bitcoin. So I'll say it again, Britt, because this is extremely important. Do not think of altcoins as currencies. This could be the costliest mistake you ever make. You gotta think of them as revolutionary new software programs. Think of them as products that will unleash tsunamis of productivity and profits that will make their owners very, very rich. I believe you could easily see substantial gains for yourself and your family during the coming awakening. The point here is, altcoins are rewriting the way wealth is being created today. It's never been about overtaking Bitcoin. It's always been bigger than that.
Wow. Now, can you guys share a few examples of altcoins already making a difference in the world?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. There are all kinds of amazing altcoins making the world a better place. One altcoin called Tyrion is helping corporate America fight back against cyber hackers. U.S. office workers produce 50 trillion pages of documents every year, right? Many of these documents are uploaded online where they're susceptible to hackers hunting for sensitive information. Remember the recent Equifax hack that exposed the personal information of over 147 million Americans? Or the recent Marriott hotel hack, which leaked the private details, including contact information and passport numbers of over 500 million people who stayed at one of their hotels. For most companies, intellectual property and internal operations are their competitive edge. So when sensitive information is hacked, it puts these organizations, their employees, and the general public at risk. But Tyrion is looking to make this a problem of the past. With just a single click of the mouse, users can instantly secure any document in less than 2 seconds. This altcoin has already begun helping 8,500 companies keep intellectual property safe, including those tech giants like Microsoft, Intel, and Dell. Tyrion is already on pace to help corporate America save $360 billion every year. Again, this is exactly what you look for before investing in an altcoin. They must be harnessing blockchain technology to improve a massive issue. Tyrion is the perfect example of this. And it's no surprise that their altcoin, which remember, is the ownership in the proprietary blockchain software, has shot up as high as 6,050% over a 5-month span this year, which is enough to turn every $5,000 invested into more than $300,000. And the only way you could have made this extraordinary return is by owning Tyrion's altcoin.
That's an insane profit for only 5 months.
Well, this is an incredible example, but it also illustrates the opportunity you have today as more and more people and organizations wake up to the benefits of the blockchain.
All right, Charlie, how about another example?
Luke mentioned earlier that the blockchain has had its sights on revolutionizing the healthcare industry from the get-go. Well, one blockchain company called Metablock is shaking up the nearly $12 trillion global healthcare industry. They are recreating the way our personal information is stored and shared across numerous healthcare and insurance providers. This will save you a ton of time and money too. No more writing down your medical information every time you go to the hospital. But it's not only about convenience. Metablock drastically improves the security of your personal information and allows you to be 100% in control. You choose who gets to see your information and who doesn't. Remember, it's estimated that by 2024, everyone in the US will have had their healthcare data compromised. Whether you realize it or not, Metablock is on the front lines fighting on behalf of you and your loved ones to keep your most sensitive data safe and secure. And because of the incredible work they're doing, at one point, their altcoin was up as high as an incredible 7,775% this year. Again, the only way you could have bagged this incredible gain is by owning the altcoin. Another great blockchain company is called Chainlink. They are changing the way companies collaborate and innovate together by securing and documenting the exchange of valuable information. So from the very beginning, they focused heavily on the mass adoption and the ease of use of their program. And their blockchain-based smart contracts are quickly becoming the standard for the biggest corporations in the world, such as Google and Oracle. The World Economic Forum just awarded them out of the 100 other companies as a technology pioneer of 2020. And they recently teamed up with some of the heavy hitters like Google and Oracle. As a result, Chainlink is up as high as an incredible 3,867% over the last 2 years. I'm gonna say it again, own the altcoin. Do you remember earlier how I said that blockchain is allowing individuals in Brooklyn and California to buy and sell their own energy?
Of course.
Well, a company called Sun Contract is an early pioneer in applying the blockchain to the energy grid. They are decentralizing the entire power grid and tailoring it to the benefit of the individual and the consumer. So reliable energy is one of the most important building blocks of modern society. And for the first time ever, consumers are in the driver's seat instead of some big utility company. Mark my words. This will soon be the new standard for energy consumption around the world. With the blockchain, you'll soon be able to sell unused energy to your neighbors for a profit. Sun Contract is already working with the European Union and has been awarded grants to make this a reality right over the pond. Sun Contract is a perfect example of how blockchain can bring transparency to an industry and allow for true free markets and individuals to flourish. As you can probably guess, Sun Contract has been receiving a ton of attention because of their work. And as a result, over like a 6-month period, Sun Contract's altcoin soared as high as 3,735%, which is enough to turn every $5,000 invested into more than $186,000. Similar applications from several providers are being rolled out right now in New York, California, Alabama, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C.
So one trend that I've been following closely for a few years is artificial intelligence. AI is this $15 trillion megatrend that we all know about, but there's this small company called Effect.ai, which is using blockchain technology to quickly advance and organize the AI megatrend. Now, how they're doing that is their blockchain platform allows for AI developers to safely and securely collaborate and share data. In other words, they're basically allowing thousands of the world's leading developers to share, automate, and build off each other's work, which helps speed up the process and development of some of AI's most promising contributions. And that includes curing cancer, fighting world hunger, and accelerating space exploration. Effect.ai has already partnered with a variety of organizations like the United Nations, YouTube, and ING Bank, just to name a few. Now, their coin price has rallied as high as 4,250% over the last 18 months.
Hell, Luke, before the cameras were rolling, you were telling me about a blockchain company that's allowing people to make money from their wireless internet. Now, could you quickly share that example with our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone gets super excited when I talk about this one. Now, if you Google the most hated companies in America, you'll quickly see that the top of every list is an internet provider, right? We've all had bad experiences with internet providers. Either we spend an hour waiting on the phone to talk to a representative, or we pay for high-speed internet but get actually slow service. Well, the blockchain company called Helium is not only helping ease the pain of internet service that we all suffer from, but it's actually putting money in the pockets of people who are willing to share their internet. Now, how does this happen? Well, Helium is using the blockchain to decentralize the internet.
So they're like the Sun contract company Charlie mentioned that's decentralizing the power grid and helping people make money from their power?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Except Helium is using the blockchain to decentralize the wireless infrastructure. So basically, what you do is you can buy a special wireless router, it's a hotspot router, from Helium, and then you share your internet with your neighbors. It broadcasts it out. What this allows is anyone to build out a massive, cost-effective wireless network that benefits everyone. No more long-term contracts, no hidden fees.
So how much money are people making from sharing their internet?
Well, obviously, this can vary a lot. But I've seen instances where, get this, people are making well over $10,000. I know, it's crazy. But the biggest benefit of Helium's secure peer-to-peer wireless network isn't the $10,000 you're raking in, but rather the fact that it's allowing the projected $19 trillion Internet of Things revolution to gain mass adoption. Now, we can cut the middleman out, and anyone can grab their share of that $19 trillion IoT build-out, which explains why, since June of 2020, which is when Helium's altcoin launched, the price has climbed as high as 7,125%. Now, these are just a few examples of how blockchain companies are making a huge impact on the world's biggest industries and how owning their altcoins could make you a lot of money over time. Keep in mind, most of these gains came in just a handful of months. Now, of course, all investments carry risk. Past performance does not indicate future success. We would never recommend investing any amount of money you aren't willing to lose. And keep in mind, in the crypto space specifically, things can get pretty volatile. That being said, the potential here is extraordinary. As everybody knows, with higher risk comes higher reward, and the reward is here. Because the best part of it all is this. We're at the beginning. We're at the top of the first inning. Charlie's been on the blockchain front lines for over 10 years, and I think he'd agree the best is yet to come.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we are here on the adoption curve. We're still in the very early stages, which means the biggest gains are still ahead of us. Bitcoin was just the beginning. Now, the next chapter is ready to be told, and what's coming will be so much bigger than anything we've seen before. The awakening, folks, is almost here. But the time to act is now. Make no mistake, time is of the essence because blockchain technology is already being implemented on a massive scale worldwide. And the COVID-19 crisis, believe it or not, has only accelerated the adoption. When the U.S. government sent out trillions of dollars in stimulus checks to individuals and small businesses, it took weeks to get those checks in the hands of people, right? Now, in response to this, the government is now considering the creation of digital Fed accounts, which would allow Americans and business owners to receive funds in a matter of minutes. The Federal Reserve is also considering the creation of a blockchain-based central bank digital currency. Here's what one of its board members had to say about implementing a central bank coin. Today, it can take a few days to get access to your funds. A real-time digital payments infrastructure would ensure the funds are available immediately to pay utility bills or split the rent with roommates, or for small business owners to pay their suppliers. And it's not just the Fed and the government, Britt. The world's largest companies are also going all in on blockchain technology right now. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Facebook are all investing billions in blockchain technology. Healthcare, finance, energy, government, infrastructure, e-commerce, real estate, you name it. It's all going to be drastically improved by blockchain technology. There will be countless altcoin opportunities coming online, and any one of them could make you money. Which is why serial entrepreneur Peter Thiel has invested over $50 million in blockchain projects, and why Wall Street billionaires like Paul Tudor Jones and JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon have changed their stance, done a full 180, and now fully embrace this incredible technology. You know, the last time something this transformational happened was in the mid-90s, just before the internet went mainstream. And since then, thousands upon thousands of millionaires have been created, as well as numerous billionaires. The same story's playing out again, Britt. Only this time, I'm gonna say it, this time it's on a bigger scale. Blockchain is a new computing paradigm poised to create more disruption and wealth creation in the next 20 years than the internet has in the last 20. Now, Charlie and I are here today because we want to help you learn more about blockchain, and most importantly, learn how to potentially see some extraordinary gains from the blockchain awakening. That's why in a moment, Charlie's going to share the name and ticker symbol of one of the most promising altcoins we've ever seen.
All right, but before you tell us which altcoin you're most excited about right now, let me ask. Now, how do our viewers know which altcoins to buy in order to take advantage of the blockchain awakening?
Right, great question. So even though the blockchain awakening will mint thousands of new millionaires, not all opportunities will be worth pursuing. You know, it's not like shooting fish in a barrel. There are several factors you should look at for when you're investing your hard-earned money into an altcoin. And there are actually two important criteria that all altcoins must meet in order to be good investment opportunities. The first is that they must solve a real issue in the world that has a big addressable market, and here's why. As we discussed earlier, altcoins are not online fantasy money. They just aren't, or a substitute for the dollar for that matter. They're actually early stage ownership stakes in fast-growing blockchain technology. And like any other early stage venture, the more lives it can impact and improve, the more money that will be made. You know, a great example is a small altcoin called DentaCoin. You know, it's not an altcoin I would ever recommend my readers buy. DentaCoin was created by a London-based tooth implant clinic. Its goal is to create a token-based economy where patients pay dentists with DentaCoin. But the problem is the dental market is too niche for us to see massive gains. You know, there are only 60 dentists for every 100,000 citizens in America. And to make matters worse, the entire U.S. dental market is only growing at a rate of 2% per year. You know, this market likely won't grow significantly anytime soon. And although this altcoin could make the lives of dentists easier, it's not going to grow to a huge valuation. And that means there simply won't be a lot of money made here. It's simply just not a big enough market. In fact, since 2018, DentaCoin has fallen 99%.
Oh, so where's the second criteria?
Getting there. The second criteria all altcoins must meet is perhaps the most important one, Britt, so I'm really glad you asked. And that is, they must have a great team in place. You know, for as revolutionary as blockchain technology is, you want to invest alongside the founders and CEOs who have successful track records or are very connected to this world. Because when you're looking to back a new altcoin or blockchain project, you need to make sure there's a good team in place, which is exactly why I reached out to Charlie. You know, he knows what altcoins or blockchain projects have the best teams in place. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is as plugged into this world as Charlie is. Charlie, without a doubt, knows where the best, most lucrative opportunities are today. Because he's been there since the very beginning. He's done more for the adoption of blockchain technology than anyone else in the world. He was one of the first on the planet Earth to even know what the blockchain was, as well as one of its earliest backers. And he created one of the first crypto exchanges where up to 1/3 of all Bitcoin transactions took place. That's not all. He was a founding member of the Bitcoin Foundation. He's on a first-name basis with all the leading developers, programmers, and investors in this space. I mean, when you look at the gains that Charlie's made in the crypto markets and the projects he's worked on, Britt, it's unreal. So, for example, one company he worked with was Genesis Vision. This new blockchain protocol is revolutionizing the way folks buy and sell stocks, and its altcoin has soared as high as 1,655%. Charlie, he was closely involved with another altcoin called Atomic Wallet, which is innovating the way folks buy and store altcoins. And since its launch in early 2019, it's up an incredible 3,800%. Again, no one can promise these kinds of extraordinary historical examples. These are not examples from this research service, but I'm not exaggerating when I say Charlie has the most connections and the know-how when it comes to blockchain technology. Because when Charlie speaks, the crypto world listens. He knows all the projects taking place in the world, and most importantly, he knows better than anyone else which altcoins will be duds and which ones could show you extraordinary gains. And that's why I teamed up with Charlie. It's a no-brainer. We're forming the greatest altcoin investing research service ever created. It's called the Crypto Investor Network.
Guys, this sounds incredible. Now, what made you decide to create the world's first crypto investor network research service?
2 words, Britt: the awakening. As the world continues to wake up to the truth that altcoins aren't fantasy internet money, but rather ownership stakes in the most valuable and revolutionary technology ever created, there will be a massive rush into these investments. The goal of the Crypto Investor Network is to help everyday folks understand what is happening and to learn how to capitalize on this coming revolution.
And that's what Charlie excels at, Britt. He knows where all the best opportunities are. He's been living and breathing blockchain for over a decade. He's been involved in the biggest and most important projects. There will be literally dozens of opportunities to see substantial gains in the coming months and years as the blockchain revolution goes mainstreams. In fact, we've already got several big altcoin recommendations coming up. And it's important to understand just how crucial it is to have research from someone like Charlie guiding you through it all.
But I couldn't do it alone. And that's why I teamed up with Luke here and the incredible people at Investor Place to help me get this critical message out. And I've been following Luke's career closely over the last few years, and what he's accomplished, it's simply incredible. Based on his track record alone, Luke could easily be sitting in the corner office of some prestigious Wall Street firm, spending every weekend at the Hamptons, right? Like you said earlier, he's recommended dozens of stocks that have gone up as high anywhere from 100 to 900%, and 16 recommendations that have soared as high as the coveted 1,000% mark, like 4,962% on AMD, or 3,628% from Blink Charging, and 3,353% from NIO. Over the last 18 months, some of Luke's crypto recommendations have gone up as much as 2,865%. Luke, much like myself, isn't driven by money. He cares deeply about helping people have that chance that I had to secure financial freedom by investing in future technologies. So Luke and I started talking about the incredible opportunity that everyday folks have in altcoins today. And one thing led to another, and the decision to start an all-inclusive research service for folks who want to learn more about crypto became a no-brainer. We both dropped everything and put all our resources into this new alliance.
And as great as all that sounds, here's the best part, Britt. Charlie and I have just identified 4 different altcoins about to soar and put them in a brand new report called the 4 altcoins to buy now for 1,000% gains and beyond. Now, one of these altcoins is easily the most dominant in the world. Their blockchain platform is used by the most powerful companies in the world like Amazon, Microsoft, and even JPMorgan Chase. They arguably have the biggest community of developers and blockchain projects in the world, which easily makes it one of the best altcoins to buy for the blockchain awakening. Another one of the altcoins in the report is taking the financial industry by storm. They've already secured several landmark deals with major banks all over the world, and they're averaging 30 new deals or strategic partnerships a quarter. They currently have their sights on disrupting the $2 trillion that transacts across country borders every year. We believe news will quickly spread, and this altcoin's price will soon go through the roof. Now remember, altcoins can soar thousands of percent in a matter of weeks or months, so it's imperative to know how to get started right now. Time is of the essence. And this brand new report will tell you everything you need to know about these 4 altcoins, including the buy up to price. And if you join our research service within the next 30 minutes, we'll even throw in a copy of our Altcoin Millionaires Playbook.
Are these altcoins easy to buy?
Oh my gosh, Britt, they're so easy to buy, almost as easy as a stock. All you need to do is set up an account for buying and selling cryptocurrencies. It's as simple as opening a regular brokerage account and only takes a few minutes to set up, and once you fund your account, you're off to the races. But even though it's easy to get started, we realize this is totally new to a lot of people. It's a new industry, it's a new asset class. So, to help you set up immediately, Charlie and I have created a special report called Altcoin Investing for Beginners. Now, this report is very important. It walks you through everything you need to know step by step, like how to buy and sell altcoins, how to quickly and safely set up an account, and how to navigate a cryptocurrency exchange. Now, you're gonna be shocked at how easy it is to get started, but just in case, we've got you covered. In 10 minutes or less, you'll have full access to the names of 4 of the most important altcoins of the future. We're giving away these 3 reports for free if you become a member of the Crypto Investor Network. Like we said, our mission is simple: to help you and thousands of others have the chance to see gains from the coming blockchain technology boom. The mass adoption of blockchain will be the biggest technological event of the next 50 years. And by joining the Crypto Investor Network today, you'll be in the absolute best position to see some amazing gains.
Now, what will happen once we join the Crypto Investor Network?
Great question. So once you become a member, you'll immediately gain full access to our private website, and you'll instantly be a part of one of the most connected crypto research services on the planet. This members-only site is where we publish breaking blockchain stories and brand new investment opportunities unfolding throughout the world. Every month, we'll send you a research report detailing new, exciting altcoin opportunities, and you'll be the first to hear about these incredible opportunities as soon as they come across our desks. We'll also update you about our altcoin model portfolio every month. And every month, we'll hold a members-only webinar where we'll update you on new events and opportunities. You'll hear about new blockchain projects and altcoin investments, and you'll have the opportunity to get in on the ground floor of new altcoins that will forever change the world.
So, how much does it cost to join the Crypto Investor Network? I assume it's not cheap.
That's true. We could charge a lot of money for this type of high caliber research and level of access to Charlie's network. In fact, I produce a similar altcoin research project that sells for a $3,500 retail price. People gladly pay it. But ultimately, Charlie and I decided that everyone, no matter your current situation, should have access to this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, after some back and forth, we decided to set the membership price at $199. And the price will only go up from there. But if you respond right now, you can become a member for as little as $99. That's right. You can secure a full year of access to the only Crypto Investor Network research service in the world. Now, this deeply discounted offer is only available to you right now. And it's also worth mentioning that joining the Crypto Investor Network is 100% risk-free too.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so here we go. If 90 days from now,